The timeline will definitely not be in Premier's hand on the cannabis medicinal one, because there are regulatory processes we follow from your application up to the license. Yes, we're doing as much as we can to be fast, but I'm sure the Premier will try to help locally with the people who are investing where there's a shortage. Thank you.
In terms of the question related to how are we going to protect the indigenous people, from the studies and the work that we've been doing in Pondo land and in the former Transkei area, we've come to realize that the indigenous people have actually protected themselves by planting landrace cannabis and being the custodians of certain varieties and genetics that have never been used anywhere else in the world. Those genetics can then be registered as specific medicines for specific ailments and can be used across the world. So I think how we can protect them is firstly to make sure that their land race is protected with the utmost care, and that we don't bring in foreign genetics into the former Transkei area and see a change of the genetics, and identify communities and the social and cultural structures around those genetics and patent those genetics through SAPRA to administer to the rest of the world. And then they would have the patent on those actual plants, which they are the custodians of.
Surely the role of government is to create a conducive environment for development, and in that process protect the indigenous people. Our people have been involved in this for some time. Unfortunately, it has really been perceived to be one of those unwelcome areas of interest. So we are bringing this into the equation to ensure that government plays its rightful place. We must direct development. The reason that we've been in this kind of situation and we are still where we are, it's simply because of the laissez-faire, where people will be doing as they wish, they come in and leave. Now government must be hands-on. We must direct this, working with our people on the ground, including all critical stakeholders, chiefs, and every sector across the social economic spectrum. So we are definitely getting into that space. We've identified this, we've gone public, we've put it in our State of the Province address. On that, we're actually making that clarion call. We're issuing an instruction to everyone here in the province to begin to work on this. We want to ensure the kind of an integration, vertical and horizontal on this, to ensure that no one is left behind, but getting our people on the ground, organize them, formalize them in the form of cooperatives, etc., so that they begin to get involved in the trading in a much more professional way. So we are going to be taking that full responsibility. When we spoke about 1.1 billion stimulus package over the 3 years, we said we are looking at all the areas that can stimulate our economy, that can give the necessary impetus on how we drive the economic growth in our province. So this is another area. This is exactly why, as a province, we are going to leave no stone unturned until we get it right, following all the laws that seeks to regulate this, working with all the entities. That's why everyone is here today. National entities are here so that we don't actually miss a single step on this. We do it right. This Eastern Cape was a pilot site, national pilot site, almost 20 years ago. It should not be like this, that we are still where we are. We are still thinking. Research has been done, everything is there. Work actually, foundation has been actually made. We should really be commencing with the work of changing our people's lives. Yes, of course, the issue of stigma because of stereotype will remain there. South Africa is a kind of a Christian country, if I may put it like that, and all the beliefs that goes around that. Because our people have also been oblivious of the real impact of this from the positive economic spin-off. So, but basically, opening this thing up, proper education, doing all the necessary things. That's why I've said government is going to take full responsibility on the social facilitation. That seeks also to educate even those who might have actually the limited knowledge. We know that the limited knowledge sometimes is dangerous. So we've got to reach out to our people and make it that they understand this more than the limited knowledge that our people have been exposed to. Well, on the Chinese, we can't blame people who are trying to make these kind of initiatives because we should be blaming government. We should be there as government from the day one. Had we did our job proper, we would not be having these kind of people who are encroaching, who are getting into individuals. The reason that you've got our people fighting against each other is the poor social facilitation and the lack of leadership from government. Government is a leader of the society that leads everyone. People are frustrated, traditional leaders are frustrated, kings are frustrated, because at a point when we're supposed to be given the proper leadership and direction, we've been missing in the equation. So we're now going to get everyone right, but we are not going to also allow people to come in and out and do as they wish. This is not a lawless country. This is a country that is actually governed properly by laws. We're going to come in there without frustrating anyone on that, but make it a point that we work with people. Because I can tell you, it can be a king today, only to realize people will be revolting against that because of number of issues, as we understand how fluidity that land issue is on the ground. But we're not going to frustrate any investment that comes, but investors must come in a very proper way so that every kind of an investment that is actually being done here can actually be accounted for properly. We don't want people who simply come in and do as they wish and take the money out of the country. As we indicated, this is indigenous, it must be for our indigenous people, it must develop our people. This can really give a literal meaning of the rural development in its literal sense of life. So we're going to drive this one, and we're not going to sleep at all. It's for the benefit of our people. So I think this is how prepared are we. We're gone public, we're also running a risk of being labeled as that or that because of the same background of the stigma. But we believe it's the right thing to do. That time has arrived, and we must actually make use of the opportunity we have to really take our people to another level. The country is going down, the economy is not doing well. We need to be innovative, we need to be creative, we need to look at other niche areas probably that have not really been explored and begin to create possibilities around that and broaden our horizons in terms of the economic development.
I think our Premier has said all, but just to add that there is a very important part that we are looking at of private partners, including the public partners. So we can't overemphasize the importance of us as a department to work with other government departments. If you talk of your Department of Health, the Department of Economic Development in the province or even nationally, the Department of Health, Treasury, Education, because we'll be working with the institutions of Ireland in the issue of capacity on research and development that the Premier always mentions its importance. The importance of us working with the national sphere. We are fortunate to have a minister who are saying this particular industry and program is her brainchild. Now that she is here, so we're working with her department. The stimulus package, already the Premier has said inside here that there is 300 million plus that has been set aside for stimulus package. The progress that we are making on the declaration of the SEZ, the Wild Coast SEZ. So we will be taking the approach of other provinces of ensuring that as we talk of SEZ, we will be dedicating a particular portion to the development of this particular industry, in particular going beyond just primary production, talking on agri-business, the whole value chain that was presented inside here. So indeed it is pointing to a direction that says the Eastern Cape will no more be saying we are a province that is poor, but will be a wealth-creating province, having started today, because the work has been done in terms of research. There are farmers that have permits already. We're hearing inside that almost more than 40 farmers who are traditional farmers. We said as the province, agriculture is top on our agenda. It is a game changer. And we are saying, through our strategy that we just adopted as a department, the cultural economic transformation study want to commercialize. So we want to go beyond the primary production of agricultural products, in particular the green economy that we're looking at. We are saying the cannabis is one of the very important commodities or industry that we've been focusing on. And the Premier has said we are wanting to go east of the Eastern Cape, because this thing of having one province that has two characteristics, as if it's two provinces in one province. We must replicate, we must look at the strengths and capacities of all the corners of our province to ensure that if at the Polo land you've got a unique commodity, a unique crop that is this cannabis, why don't we make sure that we maximize up to the full potential of it? As you can see in front of me, there's also the pure Polo tea, the Mapa tea. So we are in a revolution of ensuring that Eastern Cape reaches its own full potential to be a wealth-creating province of the country. Thank you.
Wealth creation, communities got to co-own, especially if they've been assisted, co-own that data. That goes a long way. Secondly, communities have got to be part of this value chain right up to ownership at the capital markets level, because they have the know-how, they have the knowledge, and that's what we always trying to even preach to investors. Investors do not want to do the wrong things, but of course they do the things that we say them to do. So it's all up to us to tell them that we are ready for these investments. However, in our country, this is how it's done. The stigma side for the whole world is the same thing. There's a stigma. And the reason why there was a stigma is because some other industries and cartels were the ones that were funding the stigmatization of this industry. So it is no coincidence or accident that there's a stigma in this industry about this plant.
And yet, if you look at the benefits, even the side effects, if you compare the side effects of this plant and the side effects of the drugs that are legal and they've been legal, I mean, you can never even compare. You can never. I mean, there are drugs today that kill people, and yet they are legal. And we drink some of these things, and we are given, prescribed, and we need to take it upon ourselves to educate even the ones that are educated, including doctors and health professionals, that this is the way. This is a better alternative, and it will take time. It is, even in the most developed countries, it is still a huge issue. So it can never be done overnight. And for me, Premier, MEC, and colleagues, I'm so happy and encouraged by the progress made today. It doesn't have to be perfect for it to be done. It starts, it must start. And when it starts, who said it must be perfect? Who prescribed it for us? It can never, it is not, even in Canada, it's not perfect. I mean, companies are complaining, they're saying it's over-regulated, so we're learning. And I said, there's something called second mover advantage. There's something called third mover advantage, because we're learning from the ones that have made mistakes. So it's for us now to take those lessons and incorporate them into what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will come in on the regulation part. Around the questions, the person who's already doing it or who knows how to do it out there, what's happening to them now. On the, let me separate first, there is the recreational part. I'm sure we're not talking about that now because there's no fixed law saying this is how it's going to be done. So we're going to move away from that and go straight to hemp or your medicinal cannabis. On the hemp side, yes, it can be easily grown outside, large scale. However, for now, we're waiting for the completion of the legislature. It's going there to say how it can be commercialized. So you'll be aware of it soon, that how is it going to be done. I think that's your easier part for a person who doesn't have money to invest or do anything. The medicinal part, unfortunately, is not going to be equal to the hemp side, where you can grow easily outside and let it grow naturally. Because medicine, you need to monitor quality all throughout until people take that medicine. Here, that's where Medicines Act come in. When you're going to manufacture a medicine to be dispensed by a pharmacist or prescribed by a doctor, that medicine must be assured that its quality and efficacy and safety is monitored by SAPRA, SAPRA being the regulatory authority in the country. So there is not a bit easy. Your question will come in of the cost of how is that managed. And then I think that's where Premier is coming in with strategies of assisting people establish quality systems and facilities that will meet the requirements.
To see where we expect how the current laws seek to regulate this, but Ours is also to push government to look at possibilities of treating this within flexible bands without stopping regulating it. We have made a point inside that this cannot continue to be a fiefdom of certain cartels that seeks to monopolize the space. Currently, it's about those who can afford to continue affording to the exclusion of our ordinary people who have been participating. We've got to be actually bring about transformation there so that our people are able. Our interest is more on manufacturing and industrialization more than the private personal or medicinal use. Constitutional Court has spoken on that matter, has given an indication on how that issue can be treated for those who want to handle it more at a very personal or private medicinal use. Our interest is to go big, is to really create a huge, it's our goal here, is to create a huge industrialization around it. That's why we are saying part of our anchor project on our Wild Coast SZ, which soon will be out there, will be this cannabis industry. So we're looking at that. We're not just looking at more at it more at a peripheral level. Of course, the indigenous people. That's why we're saying we've got to protect them for any other people, exploiters who will be coming in now that this thing is being spoken about and there are processes towards it. We've got to protect them so that they continue. We're not creating this for tenders or tenderpreneurs, people who are just waiting for any opportunity to come and grab them. We want indigenous, we want the organic people who have been actually involved into this. The stimulus package, it's 1.1 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework, starting with 333 million this year. About 16 projects are already approved on it for this financial year. These are areas that we're looking at. We're looking at this, the green revolution, across the agricultural part of it, your oceans economy, your creative arts, your tourism, you name them. And we're looking at more at our catalytic projects. And we believe this is a game changer, as MEC has indicated. We will be looking for that. It's going to really create. I met another gentleman who are busy trying to get their license here. They are piloting this year at East London ICC. It's just simply saying to me that out of the 3-hectare arrangement that they are doing through hydroponics there, they are looking at about 200 jobs to be created into that space. I can tell you, it's huge. Now we talk 1,000 hectares for government, working with private sector, investors to ensure that we get our people involved, create jobs, change our people's lives. That's our interest as government. This is where we'll be coming in.